Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this webinar on marketing analytics in the data-driven world. My name is Parag, and I work as a product marketing manager at Hebo. I will be your host and moderator for this webinar. Let me introduce you first to our today's speaker, Lee Hurst, who is a marketing analytics expert. Lee is currently working with Enpro Industries, and he heads the marketing analytics function for their e-commerce business. All right, before we start today's session, I would like to remind you of a few things. All attendees will be on listen only mode. We are going to record this session and we'll be sending you the recording post the session through an email. If you have any questions during the webinar, then you can type them in the Q&A window available on your screen, and we will address them one by one at the end of the session. Okay, so before we start the session, let me walk you through our today's agenda. I'll start with a brief introduction to Hebo and our offering. Then Lee will do the detailed presentation on our today's topic. And in the end, we will do a Q&A session. So let's start with the introduction first. Hebo is an automated data pipeline platform that helps you connect, transform, and load your data spread across multiple applications, tools, platforms into centralized storage, which is typically a data warehouse. After creating a single source of truth, you can directly use this analytics ready data into any reporting, analytics, or data visualization tool of your choice and discover your actionable insights in actually minutes, not hours. So it's a plug and play platform that requires no coding. So even a non-technical person can easily use it. As you know, today's marketing teams use a lot of SaaS applications for email marketing, advertising, CRM, SEO, social media, analytics, and attribution, and so on and so forth. And all these different tools generate a lot of data. Most of this data remains in silos and can't be readily used for integrated analytics. Many analysts use Excel or Google spreadsheets, Google Sheets for data crunching and reporting. But these tools start showing cracks when the volume of data increases. And also the manual process results in data loss, data inconsistency that ultimately impacts the accuracy of the reports and overall decision making. To solve all these problems, we have introduced Hebo IQ, an automated marketing data integration solution that helps you discover your integrated marketing insights with unified data. Hebo IQ provides built-in integrations with top 100 plus marketing and advertising applications, including the ones that you are currently using. It also connects with the reporting, analytics, and data visualization tool like the Google Data Studio, Tableau, Looker, Power BI, Metabase, and many others. So Hebo IQ is currently used by global marketing analysts to unify their entire marketing data, measure the performance of their marketing channels and campaigns, and discover actionable marketing insights that help them make better business decisions. You can actually transform your data into actionable insights using Hebo IQ in just 3 simple steps. First, you connect your marketing data sources with Hebo IQ just by providing the credentials. Next, post that, Hebo IQ internally does all the data transformations, data cleansing, and creates a single source of truth for your marketing data. This analytics ready data then can be directly plugged into any BI tool which you are currently using to generate your actionable marketing reports or dashboards. It's that simple, just 3 simple steps to activate your data. Here are some of the factors that marketing analysts like about Hebo. Hebo IQ provides 100 plus pre-built integrations with marketing and BI tools. It's a fully automated no-code data platform that is specially built for non-technical guys. So you don't have to rely on your technical team or engineering team to get the data flowing. Hebo IQ offers a fully managed centralized data service using Google BigQuery. So you don't need to worry about its setup and data security. Also, our customers have achieved tremendous results by automating their integrated reporting process using Hebo. They have not just achieved 10x faster reporting with full data accuracy, but they have also saved their precious time, which otherwise they used to spend on unproductive tasks. To know more about our product, you can actually check our website, www.heboiq.com, and schedule a free demo with our product expert. So with this introduction, I will now jump on to the topic for our today's discussion. Okay, before Lee starts his presentation, let me give you a quick introduction about him. So Lee started his career as an application developer back in 1995. And since 2006, he has been working with Entro Industries. He's a senior member in their marketing team and spearheading the marketing analytics division for their e-commerce business. He has been following and participating in Google Data Studio reports development since 2016. He has created the Google Data Studio Resources Finder in 2016, where he has reviewed more than 350 posts, videos, templates, and other resources. He still maintains it as a free service. Under the Helpfully brand, he helps small businesses and agencies to set up their marketing analytics and reporting. He recently released his book on hands-on with Google Data Studio, a data citizen survival guide. So it was published by Willy and released in Jan 2020. Lee is also a Tai Chi expert and a trainer. So that's a quite impressive profile, Lee. Let's welcome Lee.
Get this off my screen. Okay, so we're going to start this presentation. Welcome, everybody. I want to thank Parag for reaching out to me. It was kind of a surprise. Glad he did, though. We were talking about some of these topics, and happy I can do a presentation in conjunction with Hebo. So this presentation is kind of geared towards things that I think marketers need to be thinking and acting on. We're talking about that marketing in a data-driven world, so we're going to get into that. My goal is to kind of motivate you to get you to start taking the next steps or move to the next level in your digital development. If you need more information about me, I have a website, helpfully.com, and you can usually find me on Twitter at helpfully. That's the easiest way to reach me. So, and I usually try to say yes. That's why my little symbol is a little diving guy. I tend to dive right into stuff. So for this presentation, we're going to start 5 years in the future and work our way back. So we want to look and see what kind of an ideal state of marketing will be in 5 years. And here's the things I think will make up that state. Things that we'll see there. We're going to see integrated marketing across the organization, tightly integrated with sales, customer service, finance, logistics. If you have manufacturing, it'll be even integrated there in 5 years. Creativity is going to be at a premium for people because a lot of services, things that they do now will be automated and commoditized, and machine learning will handle a much wider variety of work. And think about what's happened in the last year, how much that's developed. You can imagine in 5 years, machine learning will be taking on a lot of different tasks. The organization's going to go through rapid cycles of experimentation, information gathering, forecasting, and changes in direction. Quick decision-making process. That's kind of this growth hacking model where you're constantly experimenting, running A/B tests, picking the better version of those tests, and keep moving up the ladder of optimization. We're going to see more enterprise-wide insights because our data is going to be accessible across silos, not just tied up in each silo. So we'll see, things in one area of the company and more how they're going to affect other parts of the company. So we'll have a better understanding through the data because we'll have it out of these silos. Just one thing for the future that I think will happen, a thing called MD, I'm going to trademark that, will emerge. ML is machine learning. MD, I'm calling machine decisioning. If you think about it right now, we have machine learning where typical situation where machine learning algorithms look at x-rays to determine whether spots on it are cancerous or not, but we still have surgeons and doctors that make a decision on the treatment and operating. They have the final decision. I think in the future, we will have a similar situation to machine learning, but for decision-making in a number of areas where it will actually be beneficial to have a machine actually make the decision and carry out the action on its own. Maybe not perform the surgery. We'll see. Stay tuned tomorrow when Elon drops his brain connector. Anyhow, state of marketing in 3 years, so backing up a little bit, what's it going to look like? Well, we're going to see large demands on the marketing departments and groups to create value across the organization. So it's not just going to be, oh, marketing's over there. Marketing is going to be integrated quite a bit with a number of areas. Particularly sales and marketing are going to be integrated. We see this a lot right now. They're going to be striving to put the right piece of information in front of the right person at the right time to move them through the buyer's journey. Internally, inside the company, I believe programs and initiatives will be kind of sold to stakeholders. I mean, they are now a bit, but almost more like you were selling a service externally. And the decision on whether to go ahead with some of these programs or things that you want to do are basically going to be determined by how they align with other organizational goals and how solid your projections are for performance and ROI. So there's going to be a lot more accountability, not just within the organization, within marketing, but outside of marketing. There's going to be a relentless pursuit of insights from the data. Mostly these will be in separate areas of the company. We may not have reached kind of this enterprise-wide insight yet, but we'll be moving there. And the leaders in this, the people who will be leading this will be harnessing machine learning, starting to harness that, where we saw that in the 5-year program or 5-year state where machine learning was really prevalent. They'll be using it here. And I believe that based on their capability to do this, to use current and historical data that they've got in the right formats, in databases where they can use it, that's going to be a competitive differentiator between a company and its competition. Gaining those insights will give them a competitive leg up. So in 1 year, where will we be? I believe there's going to be a focus on this data collection and governance. And you can see companies like Hebo doing this and providing services for this. We're going to see data governance gain importance as we know we need to use the data for managing things. We're going to need to pull this information into centralized databases, move it from the silos to the reporting platforms. We're going to see all the data sources combined and a democratization of data and analysis. It's going to move down from data scientists and people kind of at the top of the analytics chain, and that information is going to be more available to people closer to where they have to make decisions and actions. They'll be able to do their own reporting. And of course, we see this now with some of the other reporting tools that are out there, like ERP reporting tools. But we'll see this even more, and greater flexibility and greater capabilities. Brain power is going to be spent in the next year and a year from now, hopefully more on getting insights and analysis and figuring out what to experiment with next, and less on tasks that can possibly be automated. And the big savings here will be things like automating reporting, automating the data preparation, and repeating reports, automatically sending those out, so we're not spending time gathering information and just formatting it. Data quality and standardization here are going to lay the groundwork for machine learning, which if you put garbage into your database, you're going to get some very funny things coming out of machine learning. And of course, we're going to be, tightly tracking the customer journey with all sorts of data points, as we already are, but we're going to be getting more information out of that. It won't just be the giants like Facebook that will be able to do this. It will be starting to cascade down to smaller organizations. And we also know that the speed of digital transformation has really picked up. And this, again, will start to separate the elite from the competition. Okay, so we've gone through that. What's the current state? So some of the things that your organizations, there's a lot of different organizations represented here. You're going to be in all sorts of different positions and different situations, but we can see some things across the board. One thing we know, there's just a ton of marketing technology out there to take advantage of. In 2020, it grew by over 13% of the number of offerings that are available to organizations. Some of you may be in charge of some of these software as a service type of programs. There's approximately 8,000 different marketing tech solutions out there now. If you ever want to see the explosive growth of this, you can go to chiefmartech.com. They have some really cool visualizations of how this has just exploded over time. So the current state, we've got all these applications for e-commerce, support, advertising, customer relationship management, analytics, email, and all sorts of other services. And things like social media management. You're probably on any organization is on a number of social media platforms. So we've got, and they have separate management tools for those platforms. So how mature are organizations in their business intelligence and analytics? Self-rated back in 2018, not too long ago, only 87% of organizations were considered to have low business intelligence and analytics maturity. And what that means is, while they may be able to do some analytics and some business intelligence work, they can't really replicate that performance reliably. They don't have systems in place. Their analysis efforts are inconsistent. A lot of them are ad hoc, and they just can't be repeated. So this quote came from a Gartner study from an expert in the area, saying these businesses that have lower maturity, and this may ring true to some of you, they rarely, is the data linked to business outcomes. They're not really using that data. The functionality is based mostly for reporting, not for finding insights. And there's a lot of IT kind of bottlenecking. As a former IT member, we apologize for that. It's not our fault. It's the way the systems are set up. So just looking again at the current state, the shape of this current state, basically the biggest thing that marketers worry about, the biggest challenges in getting insights out of their data, basically their data is siloed. It's difficult to access, and another 20% cite a lack of know-how. So these are the things that really bother marketers and challenge them when they're trying to actually use this data. And we're all trying to move towards this data-driven type of decision-making. So let's look at the data-driven marketing cycle from a kind of theoretical point of view. It's divided up into, we can divide it into 5 stages. There's collection of data, transformation of data, analysis of data, the communication of that analysis, using tools like data visualization, and then decision and action. So just going through these briefly, with collection, you need to start thinking ahead of what data you're going to be able to collect all along that buyer's journey. How are your tools going to collect it? Particularly on websites, this is important because you have so many different things that you can measure. Transformation, cleaning, correcting, augmenting the data, organizing it for effective use. These are the type of tools that, well, Hebo would be a tool that would fall into this category to help you do that. Going to be very, very important because we really can't do analysis unless we have clean data. The analysis, we're going to be using the tools. Usually they're called analytics these days, like Google Analytics, but on a different scale. And we're basically turning data into information. It's not just raw data anymore. We're trying to make sense of it, give it context. And we're doing this through combining data and segmenting it. So slicing and dicing the data so that we're not just seeing a big number, we're big aggregated number. We can get much more insight by dividing things like geography, user experience, all sorts of different ways to slice and dice the data. So we have a better understanding, a more complete understanding of what is going on in our systems. Communication, this is basically, okay, you've got your insights. How are you going to communicate them to other people so they can make decisions or just check your progress? This is basically the realm of data visualization tools, right? So this is kind of the area that I play in primarily now, or have for the last several years. I find it fascinating doing the analysis and communication part of this, turning information into insights by representing it or representing the data in another format through reports, graphs, and other types of visualizations. There's tons of different ways to communicate the information now. Picking out which way is the most effective to get your point across and to effectively communicate to people who are making decisions and to have an impact is part science and part art still. So I find it quite fun and fascinating. And then, of course, we need people who can make decisions and take action. And they really have to do that based on this communication and the analysis that's been done. You have to have leaders that are willing to trust their analysts and the data and actually take action. Nothing's more frustrating than putting out data that seems clear and points in a particular direction, but no one's willing to take action on it. Okay, so how do we get to that future state? What we're going to be doing is basically marketing has to embrace this challenge over the next few years. We've got more and more ability to measure all of these digital touch points throughout the buyer's journey, and more of the buyer's journey is available to us digitally and online. There's going to be more pressure for ROI, of course. This is a challenge here. Marketing is going to be challenged to really show how they can pull the levers and switches and impact sales, revenue, and profit. There's going to be a lot more measurement. We're starting to work our way from doing things like digital advertising where we can actually see conversion rates to the actual impact on the bottom line. And this has just accelerated. More and more people, because of COVID primarily, plans for things like e-commerce setups have just been accelerated. It's an amazing thing to see. I know in my company, we work in industrial products, not super high-tech SaaS marketing products, but here we are being pushed by our top-level management has focus on us completely, and they're like, we need you to accelerate everything to support all of our sales now as more and more things go online. So it's just increase the focus. We're gonna optimize the stack. So we saw all those tools before. Now you don't have to settle for a one-size-fits-all tool. You can pick and choose out of all of these tools to customize marketing solutions, and as we call it, a stack, like a stack of solutions for your organization. This gives you the ability to move very quickly and start either providing services or providing data on things that are important to you. It allows you to quickly fill that need in organizations where before we had to do custom programming and such, which is great. And I'm sure many of you have a lot of these services, and probably some of you out there are actually selling these services. So again, terrific. However, each one of these services seems to have its own reporting mechanism internal. They do not share a reporting mechanism. They're great for looking at data inside the context of the application itself, but it's really hard to make sense of that data in a larger context with all of these other tools and the larger scale goals of the organization if you're meeting them. So that brings us to the next part, centralizing your data. Again, that's kind of where companies like Hebo come in, or of course, you're going to have your own people doing this sort of thing. The steps going on here that we're finding are people are really moving towards databases that are optimized for analysis and reporting. Those would be things like BigQuery on the Google side, Redshift on the Amazon side, and then new players like Snowflake, very interesting options that are now coming out, not just the big players. So the idea is we really, to make use of data, we need it to be centralized. We need access to it, fast access. It has to be highly available to a large portion of our company, a large portion of our employees. This does give us centralized management, governance, and quality control. So just to look, we saw this slide a little bit earlier, kind of the modern marketing stack over on the left-hand side, feeding through some sort of integration process into a data warehouse. And then on the back side is the ability to connect reporting tools that can be used across the organization, which allows you to build capabilities and knowledge in these particular tools and skills across the organization. So you can have a lot of people using the same tools. We will look at that in a second. That's into decentralizing analysis. So here, again, the skills, we think about, hey, let's go out and hire some people to do data science and data analysis. Well, more and more that's actually coming up through the company. So training people to deal with data as it's more important through time. In 2018, Gartner predicted that citizen data scientists will surpass data scientists in the amount of advanced analysis produced by 2019. So that ship has already sailed. We have more and more people closer to the actual actions, or not as specialized in just working with data, that are doing analysis. So what we're going to be looking at is self-serve analysis and reporting, more for their own purposes, both for their people reporting, doing data analysis for their job and reporting up. And the last one is automation to free up that brain power. The collection and cleaning of the data only has potential value. We really have to get that into a state where we can derive insight from it. Successful reporting up, we have to aggregate data. Time spent doing this data organization is better spent doing actual analysis. So we'll be looking at ways to automate that data gathering and even most of the periodic data reporting tasks. So we'll be doing more ad hoc analysis and then turning those reports into periodic reports as need be, and more data exploration. Okay, so to give you some examples of this, I'm going to turn to my friend Sam Marsden, who is a senior SEO specialist at Glassdoor. Terrific guy. He has mentioned me in a couple of his presentations in the past, so I thought I would return the favor. It's easy to do because he produces some amazing presentations and documentation. He works with Data Studio quite a bit as well, as do I. He's a little bit on the higher end, working with larger organizations, and I'm generally more interested in working with smaller organizations. So he again uses Data Studio, great tool. It's free completely from Google, and he uses it to automate reporting, as do I. And starting with a tool like that can get you started. At least it may not be your endpoint tool, but it can certainly get you started at a low risk point to get people started doing this type of reporting and accessing data. So just looking at let's pop back there. Oh, I accidentally clicked the link. That's why. Looking at some of his reporting, this is a simple ROI example. Oh, I'm getting pinged there. I must be running out of time. I'm getting close to time. We have, let me see. Think we're good.
That's okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
Continue.
Doing okay?
Yeah. We have 7 minutes.
Oh, okay, great. Right on schedule. Glad I practiced this once or twice. All right, I tend to go quite quickly. So he gave an example of kind of simple ROI examples that you can do or follow to see how much you can save by automating some of your reporting tasks. So he goes through some quite often used reports, especially if you're in search engine optimization, SEO, you'll be familiar with this type of data and reporting. Also, if you're in agency work, you may be producing this for your clients. So although that may give you, gathering the data and creating reports may give you billable hours, it may not be the best time spent for your customer. It would be better to apply some of that time to analysis if you can automate the gathering of stuff. So if you're in an agency, you are probably already familiar with Data Studio, or you certainly soon will be. Here we've got some reports that show biggest wins and losses in clicks, impressions from Google Search Console, which is basically information about your website, how it shows up in searches. You can go directly to Search Console and pull this information, but it is extremely hard to do stuff like Sam is doing here, seeing the differences between over time periods, sorting in these other areas and seeing this information all in one shot. Actually going through there and pulling this will take you a good little chunk of time just to create each one of these tables if you were doing it inside the tool. It'd be very hard to do. And in some cases, we can do things that are just impossible inside the tool itself. So, and again, here's some other data that he pulled. And obviously this type of data you'll see nowhere in Search Console, not like this. Certainly. This allows the users to see trends over the month and impressions, clicks, click-through rates divided up by the top row here is by device type, desktop, mobile. And we can see on the left-hand side, boy, there was a big jump on that yellow thing there for tablets. We ought to investigate that. So as we look through here, we'll see it's very easy to pick out anomalies or peaks in our data. Basically what we're doing is we're using data visualization to represent the data into a format that allows you, the user or the viewer, to use your neural network, which is primed to see visualization differences like this. It allows you to use your neural network, your organic neural network, to find the interesting things in those graphics. If it's presented correctly, people can find super interesting things just by looking at a graph, and they can be very persuasive. So how much time can we save just by generating these reports and setting them up to run in an automated fashion? For these, it's super simple. Once you've created those Data Studio reports, you can simply say, I would like to push this out to these people as a PDF every week. And it will update every week. You don't have to redo the report. It generates automatically, pushes the PDFs out to people, all the graphs and charts. It could either be in this case, you can either make small stuff. You can make a 27-page report if you wanted or needed it. Don't recommend that, but his calculations here, and he shows you how to do this in his presentation, all the numbers here, was about 4 hours to set up all the reports that he did. I didn't show you all the stuff that he had put together. But he saves about an hour a week doing this, or 52 hours a year. So he saved, $1,100 or more just by setting up a repeatable report that once he's done it is basically hands off. He'll get notified of the information. He doesn't even have to go and look out there to look at the report or open a tool. The PDF can get sent directly to him. I blew away a couple of examples for the sake of time. I just have one from my business, and I've wiped out everything that you might be able to identify since I don't want to give out business information. But just an idea here. This is a monthly report. I'll be generating one of these on Tuesday, August the 1st for August. I could have this generate automatically, but I don't. I wait until the last minute when I have the figures here, and what I do with my time savings, it actually generates this, very simple to do, is I fill in the notes over on the right-hand side. So this allows me to speak kind of directly to management that's consuming this report, point them to the areas of interest or concern, explain where the numbers come from, and show them areas that we think have importance or prominence. So not just puking up the data, doing data pukes, but actually, as they say, putting more think in the ink and providing context to your users. So for this one, that simple web KPI report, I also do some other ones that are pulling together all sorts of social media data from different platforms. The setup time for those reports, about 6 hours, particularly for the social media, pulling them all together and such. If I was using Hebo, I probably could have done it much faster. But with the tools that I currently have, it took me about 6 hours. And that 6 hour a month is going to save me about 72 hours. And with Sam's calculations, that would be about $1,500. I make more than the people in his calculations, so it's probably even better than that. So what can you do with these reporting tools? Just to give you an example of what's going on currently, the huge amounts of power that are becoming available to people all throughout the organization. On the Data Studio side, they have a release just about every week, which made writing a book on the subject quite a task, because I knew they were going to make it obsolete fairly soon. I tried to stick to the basics, and they like to tease me about that. But here's some stuff that just came out last week, and people were playing with the new features. We now have the ability to add parameters to a report, which allows your user to input values or a slider and have those input values affect the information on the report. And more than that, if you're using something like BigQuery and you have taken the time to do a machine learning model, in this case, the example is we've gathered information over time about hours, number of tickets, average response time, and the number of agents that are in a ticketing system for customer service or keeping track of customer service inquiries. And we have an average customer satisfaction score that comes out of that. What this allows us to do is actually change these variables. We could change the number of agents right in the report itself and say, I wonder what will happen if we add an agent. So I changed that to 4 agents. It goes back through that select statement that you can see on the right side of the slide. It's very simple. That's about all the code that's involved in doing this and setting up these parameters and feeding it to the machine learning system. And it will, presto changeo, magically, as soon as you hit the enter button, it's gonna run that query, run it through the machine model, and predict the breakdown of the customer satisfaction score. So you can imagine as a marketing leader, if you're tasked with, gee, we better increase our customer satisfaction. Well, you now have a way to do that quite simply. We can see, hey, maybe we should increase the number of agents. What effect will that have? Maybe we should work on getting our average response time down. Maybe we should do a mixture of both. You have the ability now to play with those variables. And the last example is one of mine. As I said, this is a fairly new feature, so I wanted to put this out there for people. This is a live dashboard. If anyone's interested, happy to point you to it. Several people are releasing these right now. This particular one allows you to look again at Search Console data, where we're seeing the, this one's designed to show you how many clicks you're getting out of your data and set up a model for that. We can change, this one isn't live, I could go to the live one, but I could move this slider and change the click-through % rate, and that would show us how that would change our overall clicks, and basically how, in this case, small changes in click-through rate can affect large changes in the overall number of users. This varies by company, the kind of the breakdown of your data, how many users you have, what your click-through rate is, what your conversion rates are on your site. All those things are important, but this allows you to play with those factors even without machine learning and see the effects of doing that. So with that, I'm gonna call it an end. Just looking into the future then, who knows what will happen? 10 years from now, maybe the robot overlords taking over all of our stuff. We don't know. 5 years from now, we expect a lot more of that machine learning to be taking place. For now, we need the neural network between our ears to make decisions by looking at information provided correctly to us. And we need to be preparing our systems and our people to get value out of the data. So that's a vital investment in the future of your marketing. And with that, I'm going to conclude. I hope I didn't run too far over.
No, that's okay, Lee. Thank you so much, Lee, for this insightful presentation. And I hope it will be useful for all the attendees. Okay.
Great. Would you like me to stop sharing there?
Yes, I'll take back control.
Okay, perfect.
All right. So now it's time for Q&A session. If you have any questions, you can write them in the Q&A window. We have already got quite a few questions. Because of the time constraint, we'll just take one. So here is the question. So there are multiple tools available in the market that can connect different marketing sources, integrate data, and also provide reporting capabilities. So for building the marketing analytics stack from scratch, which approach do you suggest? All-in-one tool or specialized tool?
I suggest whichever one makes sense for your organization. It's going to vary depending upon your business model, kind of how much your business model itself, the business that you're in revolves around data. It may make sense to do different things. Generally speaking, that's going to require more the all-in-one type approach. Any system is going to have some drawbacks and advantages. I hate to use the analyst answer, depends. I can see some advantages to both. Kind of depends upon where you are in the maturity level. Usually right now, I suppose some things like Looker, Power BI gives you a lot of control over the data also, as well as visualization. So that might be another tool to look into. Generally speaking, from a programming point of view, speaking from years in IT and development, we want to separate out the data from the controls from the presentation of the data. So it's nice to have those disconnected so that we can apply different services to them. If you decide later on, hey, this all-in-one type of thing isn't exactly what I want, I'd like to apply another tool to that, it may be difficult to do. So planning ahead for in the future, tools that we don't even know about right now, I think laying the groundwork for that is a good idea. I hope that answers it.
Absolutely. All right. So let's move on. We are conducting our next webinar on 24 September, and the topic is build versus buy data pipeline approach. We will send you the webinar details or an email. You can also check our website for more details and register there. All right. So I would like to thank all the attendees for joining us today, and special thanks to Lee for sharing the knowledge and experience with all of us. If you want to try Hebo IQ for free, then you can sign up on our website, www.heboiq.com. If you're not sure how Hebo IQ can help you, then you can simply schedule a demo with our product expert and get all the information that you need to set up your modern marketing analytics stack. So if you have any questions or feedback about this webinar, then please write to me on Parag, P-A-R-A-G @hebodata.com. So see you for our next webinar. Till then, take care and stay safe.
Thank you all for attending. Take care.